As they say, necessity is the mother of invention. This project is a good example of where I have a personal need, and so I created some software to fulfill that need. And that need, I demonstrated in the previous lesson, was a way to create rich text formatted resource strings that I could use in a rich text box RTF property. It used to be there were various applications or sites that would do this for you. Those seem to all kind of disappeared. And Microsoft Word is really not a great way of doing this. I just want a small snippet of RTF code. So I created this application to allow me to format text and save the RTF formatted text to the clipboard that I could then paste into a resource string. I want to demonstrate how I built this, and you of course are welcome to create this for your own personal use. My interface for the RTF Builder is a form that's 800 by 600. It contains a label of instructions at the top as well as a copyright notice. And I have a rich text box named RTB input. Remember, this is a rich text box, not a text box. A label above that that's unnamed. This is enter or paste text to be formatted as RTF. And 3 buttons: BTN set overall font, BTN set font selection, and BTN set color selection. Then I have a label here in the center called LBL RTF output, and just an unnamed label that says RTF formatted code. Another button, BTN copy RTF, and another rich text box named RTB verify, and then a label above that with the text of the following rich text box receives the clipboard text to verify that the RTF code is functional and correct. This bottom rich text box is just a way of verifying that what's been copied to the clipboard is the actual RTF text that will display correctly. I also added 3 non-visible controls, which were dialogues. And you'll find those in the toolbox. We haven't talked about dialogues yet, but you'll find them in the toolbox under the dialogue section. And all you need to do is grab the tool that you want, just drag it to your form. It's going to place it down here in a tray below your form. So these are controls that are accessible in code, but are not displayed on the form itself. I created 2 font dialogues just by dragging the font dialog over to my control and then setting the properties to it. I'm going to delete that one that I just created. So here are my 2 font dialogues. The first one is I named font dialog overall, and the second one font dialog selection. I also added a color dialog, and I named it color dialog selection. And we'll use those in our code. All these do is they pop up a standard dialog for choosing a font or choosing a color that you'll be familiar with from other applications. Microsoft's made it very easy to create Windows applications that follow standard rules and use standard procedures. Later on, we'll see we can also have dialogues to open and save files. That's my interface. Let's take a look at the code. The principal event handler of this application is the update RTF subprocedure or event handler that is handling the text changed of the RTB input rich text box as well as the font changed or the color changed. And anytime we change the text, the font, or the color, it's going to update the text of LBL RTF output to be the RTF property of RTB input, and we're going to convert that to a string. That's going to give us the rich text format snippet that we want to paste into our string resources or use in our code of a project. The BTN set overall font button, handling that click, we're going to first warn the user that if they do this, it's going to override any other changes they've already made. So we're going to do this first. So we have a dialog result that simply is going to show this will override all other RTF settings as a starting from a new base, and then ask if they want to continue. Our title is please confirm, and we have yes, no, cancel buttons. If they do not click yes, meaning they want to continue, we're going to exit the subprocedure. However, if they want to go on, we'll show the font dialog overall. And here we're going to use dr again as our dialog result. So if dr equals dialog result.ok, so they made some changes and clicked OK, then we're going to set the RTB input.font to whatever those font settings are of that dialog. And here we say new, and it's drawing.font, font dialog overall.font.name, comma, And we're also going to set the size, so font dialog overall font.size, comma, and font dialog overall font.style. We could have probably done that all in one line. I think it would have fit here. I broke it up into two separate lines. And then RTB input.forecolor will equal the color of that font dialog overall. For the selections, kind of the same thing. We're going to create DR as a dialog result equals font dialog selection. We're going to show that dialog. And if, again, they click OK, we're going to set the RTB input.selection font equal to whatever the font name, font size, and font style is of that font dialog selection. And then RTB input.selection color equals font dialog selection.color. This is only going to be applied to whatever text is selected in the RTB input. We'll do the same thing for the color selection. Again, creating a dialog result of DR. And if they say OK, after we show the dialog, we'll set the selection color to the color property of that dialog. We can set the color either in the dialog, in the font dialog selection, or in the color dialog selection. Both will work. And then finally, we want to copy the RTF to the clipboard. So we're going to handle that button. We're going to take the clipboard from the system. So clipboard.clear, we're going to clear whatever's in the clipboard. We're going to set the text of the clipboard to the LBL RTF output.text. And then, just to verify that everything is correct, we're going to take that RTB verify rich text box and set the RTF property to the clipboard.getText. And we should see that the bottom rich text box replicates what we had in the input rich text box at the top. Let me just test this. So I can enter some text at the top. This is rich formatted text. I'm going to take the, actually I'm going to set the overall font now, and let's make it Sego UI. I'm going to say semi-bold. We'll make it a little bigger. Let's say 14. And then I'm going to take the rich formatted text. Let's set that font to black. We'll make it 20 points and be bigger. And I'll set the color here to red. Click OK. And I'm going to take the word this and let's just set the color to maybe a dark green. There's my formatted text. We can see the rich text formatting string. If I say copy to clipboard, it shows what's been copied to the clipboard in the RTB verify rich text box. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.